Yep, it looks like I'm recording.
Okay, do you want to start now in a minute or do you want to?
Yeah, yep, sounds good.
Hi everybody, it's Tracefaceit and Narc again here with the second part of our workplace interviews. So hi Trace, you're very
Hi, Paula. It's
welcome.
nice to see you again. This is everyone loves our little chats here, and we love them just as much.
Yeah, our get-togethers. I know it's great because we seem to be on a similar line with a good few of our things anyway. So it's really great to have found someone who's on the same wavelength anyway. Trace, just before we start, so this video is going to cover your coworker as the narcissist and how to recognize a narcissistic coworker and how to best handle it. So part 2 of our mini series. Can I just ask you how you came up with the name for your channel?
Oh, Tracefaceit. Um, yeah. I think what ended up happening was I wanted to call it Trace Face because that's what people used to call me in school. And then when I started to say it's time we face the truth together, I was like, oh, my channel should be called Trace Face It. Yeah, it's that lyric, trying to be creative with songs and poems and lyrics, I think is where I kind of sort of have that little
An inspiration
tiki.
moment.
Yeah.
I just kind of imagined you going around, saying, when we get to the stage with narcissists, when we, really have to face it and, saying to yourself, Trace, you got to face it now. You got to face it. I just think it's a great name.
Yep, it's true.
Yeah.
I'm always facing the truth somewhere. uh,
I mean, that's what narcissists don't want us to do, is face the truth. And it's hard because we don't know what the truth is at the end of the day. They've kind of put us into such a state of chaos. Anyway, okay, so Trace, can I kind of take a lead on this and ask
yes,
you
yes,
what
please.
um so can I ask you what would your experience have been of a narcissistic coworker and what do you think we should look out for?
Well, the first thing I would tell everybody that this is the harsh understanding, and it's really hard to grasp at times because you're going into the workplace and you're essentially spending all of your time with these people. You're spending more time with these people than you are your own family and friends. Okay. And for some of you, you're in there spending overtime. Then you're both everyone's tired. Then you're going out to dinners. The next thing you know, you're sharing personal parts about yourself to your coworkers. The next thing you know, you think that they're your friends, and we see this happen time and time and time again. And first thing I want to warn everybody is that you don't want to crap where you eat. Okay, like you don't want to do that to yourself, because what ends up happening is at any given point in time, people in the office, if they know anything about you personally, they're going to use it against you if they want to, if they want a better position, if they want to make you look bad and they look good. And I feel like that's the first thing everybody has to understand, is that these people are not your friends. And it's hard. It's hard. Now, have people met good people in the office and met great friends? Yes. But I've seen this turn really badly. And I know you have too, Paula.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the odd time you can, you do hear of people saying, oh, I met this person in work 20 years ago, but it's more the exception to the rule. I mean, I think a lot of us will have kind of gone through the situation where you get on great with people in work. There's all these plans to make contact and then you never hear from each other again because there's just not that real bond.
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, it's one of those things where I have seen things go terribly wrong. I've seen people do very sneaky things. Uh, Again, going into stealing your ideas, using them as your own. They know too much about you. They're talking about you to other people in the office when you don't think that they are. The next thing you know, everybody in the office knows about your latest Friday night. And I've seen people get really drunk at work events and make complete fools of themselves. And I mean, this is where you're getting your paycheck. And narcissistic coworkers, what are they good at? They're good at pretending that they care about you, that they're your friend. And they bait you so they can get information about you. And you think it's this person like paying attention to, oh, you said you had your niece's birthday party last weekend. How did that go? And you think, oh, this person cares. So you got to be really careful, because look how long, Paula, it takes for you to realize and recognize you're dealing with a narc. A narc coworker can easily hide in that role. I think even easier than a boss, don't you think?
Yeah, big time, because you're supposedly on the same level. So, there's this kind of feeling of being a team and, sharing the ups and downs and the woes and the hardship of the job and stuff, and supporting each other. But what I found really interesting, Trace, and I don't know if you found this, that so there's two scenarios. One, I think, is when you go into a job and discover that there's a narcissist in your team or whatever, on your level where you work, your coworker. And then the second instance is when you're working and everything is going great in your job, and a new person comes in and things gradually start to go wrong. It's like this kind of a poison starts to seep out slowly, and you don't know where the source is, but you do if you're educated in narcissistic abuse. Um, can you describe, say, if you've all been working together and everything's good and a narcissist comes into the situation, what it's like?
This happens so many times. They're, like I said, that the first thing you're going to notice is they're really, really good at pretending that they're listening, that they respect you, that they're going to try to, you're sometimes you're training them. You're giving them the trainings, you're giving them the, do's and don'ts around the office, letting them know all these things. And they're very observant. They're gonna sit back and they're gonna be kind of quiet in the beginning, and they're studying everybody.
Hmm.
They're figuring out who's the weakest link in the office, who's the doormat, who's the one that seems ADHD in here, that I can, really go off of their emotions, who seem, what kind of boss do I have? And yeah, I mean, these are the people that behind the closed doors are pitting people against each other. Well, I saw Tracy do it this way. And so why, Paula, are you telling me to do it this way? And so, and they do these little jab things that makes you very confused. They can create confusion in the office, like in a second, and change the entire, like you said, change the entire dynamics in the office.
Yep, definitely. The whole energy and the atmosphere. And I really think that they kind of look on, say, a group of people in a scenario, like in the workplace, as a kind of a game, like a chess game. They really enjoy, the new scenario they go into, and the new level of attention and the new interactions, and sussing out who's this and who's that, as you were saying. And I think then they also enjoy the information gathering stage. There's a kind of information gathering and a love bombing. So they want to know who's a threat to them in relation to their aspirations or ambitions. Did you kind of pick that one up?
A lot of the narcissistic coworkers that came into the place uh uh were working their way up. They wanted the director's position. They wanted that position. And a lot of them, and or they were just sort of in the behind the scenes, creating all kinds of chaos and drama and trouble. But a lot of them, yeah, their whole goal is to see, oh, I could make this much money by just doing this and dumping my job onto everybody else. And that, a lot of times I don't know about you, but I found that sort of is their thought process of, how do I get up to that position? How do I learn all that I can and make people look bad and make me look like the hero? Uh, it's funny, these people, they'll do the least amount of work and somehow make it seem like they did a huge thing. They're, you know, they'll spend like an hour trying to like make themselves seem like they did all this work. And in all actuality, if they actually did the work, that imagine what could be going on in there.
Yeah, they definitely, they just lie. I mean, that's the beginning and end of it. But I did you find as well with the coworkers that they'll be really, really, you know, very friendly with you. This narcissist that will come in will information gather and will do what you said. They'll take it slow. Then they'll kind of get into you and your personal life, particularly if they see you as being in their way or any kind of a threat to them or any competition to them. They'll have sussed out their chess pieces on the board as to who's easy to kind of manipulate and maneuver and use as flying monkeys or is narcissistic like them.
Yep. You're also going to find that these people are notorious for oversharing. They like shock value, oversharing. And what they're doing essentially is they're trying to get you to trust them so that you overshare, so that you indulge in your personal life. And I found this with them. They're right away telling you, I mean,
What?
I could say something right now and I won't. I just remember one coworker in particular. It was like maybe her like second month on the job, and she's telling me about what her boyfriend gave her that she's going to now have for life, STD. And I just remember being like, why would you want to tell me this? And she did the whole like, well, you know, I've never told anyone and I needed to get this off my chest. And you know, Paula, you have the same kind of personality. We have that personality that says, come tell me everything about you. I'll listen, you know, I'll be there for you. But you know, looking back, she ended up being like a really, really crappy friend in the end. And all the signs were there, if I think about it, like the oversharing and she had nutty eyes. I remember her eyes were always a little cuckoo. When do you ever notice if you sit across from someone and you really look at their eyes, and she tended to have a hard time looking me in the eyes. I remember that. Like, and I took it as she's really shy. She's really nervous energy, not very confident, but
Yeah.
It was shiftiness is what it was.
Yeah, I think there's two. One thing is shiftiness, and then other narcissists will stare you in the eyes and have no problem just continually staring to a freaky level, you know, that you nearly have to look away. It's like I remember I had to kind of say something to one, you know, that they didn't want to hear, but I had to, you know, hold them accountable. And I remember he just stared at me and stared at me. And I said, I can't do this anymore. And I actually looked away first.
It's kind of, yes, I know exactly the stare you're talking about. And if you notice, it's kind of it's very creepy. And they almost kind of do this thing where they tilt their head too with their mouth ajar. It's just like, you know, and yes, and they'll hold the gaze with you. I mean, I've mistaken this before for thinking they're in love with me. And what they're doing is they're thinking about something that they're going to use against you when they're doing this.
Yeah, I think it's for the slower ones, they're trying to decide what reaction they should give because their reactions aren't natural. They're manipulated, you know. I think
Yep.
they're actually, which way should I go on this? You know, should I deny it? Anyway.
They believe that people are just as unhealthy as them. Like when you're being genuine and nice and caring and kind, and you really care about the clients and things like this, you'll find that they're looking at you and they're like, she's full of crap. Like they're trying to find something wrong with you. They're trying to like catch you being fake or phony or something, because they are. They go around in life. They lead double lives. They're doing all these things to try to find out your weaknesses. They could use them against you, and you know it.
I know. Yeah, just a thought there that I had. So, once the narcissist gets into the workplace, so your best buddies nearly with them because you don't know they're a narcissist and they've overshared, like you said. Did you ever notice that you're getting on great with them and they're getting on great with everybody else? But everybody else who were formerly your friends and teammates are suddenly kind of looking at you sideways.
Yep.
And you're not getting on with anyone except the narcissist. And you're kind of going, the whole atmosphere has changed, the whole dynamic has changed, and you don't know what's going on.
Yep. I've watched a boss and or coworkers, like basically, guys, you got to remember out there that are watching this, if they're talking about other coworkers to you, they're talking about you when you're not around. Yep. It's plain and simple. They're going to do it. So one week you might be the target, the next week it's Becky, the next week it's Johnny, and you, yeah, they're walking in the room. There's an elephant in the room because we all know that our boss or our coworker told us about Johnny's Friday night and or, that their poor work performance, or that they had to give them a warning or something. Yep, you can feel that. You can feel that people have been talking about you. It's a horrible feeling.
Yeah. It's just like the energy invades the place. And so that's what it feels like. And it feels crazy. And the other thing I was going to say there, Trace, what you said about when, your coworker, when you looked in her eyes, initially you thought she was a bit nutty and you kind of probably put that out of your mind, I guess. I remember looking at my first introduction to a coworker and thinking, oh my God, she looks mad. Like she looks like she's a nutter, And then I said, Paul, that's really not nice. The girl she just dresses a different way. And, you kind of tell yourself off, but your initial gut reaction,
Yeah.
It was right all along. It's amazing.
My gut reactions about all of these people that are thankfully no longer in my life, if I had stuck to my first feeling around them, I would have been all set. And now I don't know about you, but I'm sure you go through this now. It's like, I feel like I can read someone's energy with them even just opening the door and walking in the room.
Yes. I mean, yes, that's a whole subject nearly for a video, but it is incredible how you get to know. Do you find yourself saying, even within a second, or even if they don't speak, a person doesn't speak, uh-oh, narc, narc alert, whatever you'd like to say. And then I kind of go away. I say, oh, please, I hope she doesn't come near me. And I kind of, actually take myself away. And then, but they seem to follow you. It's like you have a scent, and they're kind of around the corner. They corner you.
I have a funny story to tell you about that. One time, I'm no word of a lie, I reconnected with a friend from grammar school. This is like circa 2014. And she had a cross on her. And she's like, Tracy, do you wear your cross around your neck? Because we went to Catholic school together. And she's like, do you wear your cross around your neck? And I was like, no. I was like, I know, but I should. She's like, yeah. So we go to dinner and we went to this like local dive bar after dinner. When I was, still crazy and, and, wanted to be here and there. But anyway, we were going to go and have some fun. So we literally walk into this crummy dive bar in this town. Okay. It's like a hole in the wall, just disgusting place. These were like back in the day, my favorite places to go. So we opened the door and literally she looks at me after like a minute of walking in. She goes, did you just see that? I said, no. She says, every single man in here just kind of got up and started walking towards you. She's like, in a creepy manner. She's like, you need to put your cross back on. She's like, these people in here are crazy and they are all drawn to you. And I was like, well, am I crazy? Like, is this? She's like, no. She's like, you need protection. And she was right. She was absolutely right. And now looking back, it's like, yeah, I always had that. I don't know, people just knew how to open me up, get me to talk. And you have good intentions. Like, we're not sitting around in the office in places thinking about hurting people or trying to make their lives miserable and this and that. And I know that they can sense it. I feel like they can sense someone that actually means it, and is wants to just love and put that out there and help. We pick these jobs, right? Because these jobs we got our hands dirty trying to help other people in the community. And then, you got narcs that come on in and take advantage of vulnerable populations and try to come out looking like the hero,
Yeah.
but yeah, I remember that. I remember, like, she was right. And I just remember looking when I walked in the door, and they're all like, like coming like a zombie movie. And that's when I started wearing my cross again,
Yeah.
and started looking at all this stuff differently. But yeah, the energy is it. If you really do pay attention, you're going to see the nutter, like, just
Yeah.
how they're walking, their mannerisms, that they're zombie like.
Yeah. That's interesting about the cross, because there's different times when I put my cross on and say, I need my cross today. I can actually feel it. I can feel like what's coming towards me.
Yep.
And it can
Yes.
be super crazy, but it's when you've dealt with them. And I think when you've actually opened up and you're getting into this narc abuse, like we are, the education, it's as if, and I know this probably sounds crazy to people if you haven't been through it, but honestly, you nearly become a focus for that type of energy to come towards you if you're fighting it. Like, you're fighting it, I'm fighting it, being on here talking about it,
Yep.
putting ourselves out there to kind of, go against it.
Yes. And you're going to find them. They're the nuttiest people. I hate to say it. I mean, you're going to find some good people too. But they're going to be hanging out in these places, and it's unfortunate. The covert ones, like I said, are going to get positions like this. It's like, you see the nurses that abuse the elderly and things of like, it's horrible. And they get into these positions to actually have an opportunity to abuse and hurt people. And when we're working these jobs, it's like, nobody wants to think about that stuff, but it's the
Yeah.
cold hard truth.
Yeah. So what would you say is, supposing someone's going into a new job, they've left a bad situation or whatever, where there was narcissistic stuff and narcissistic poison, as I'd say, going on. What would you say would be the best way to approach your new company, the new job you go into, in relation to protecting yourself?
Yeah, I would say, understand you don't crap where you eat, and do not share anything about yourself personally. Uh, there was this coworker I had, Chris. We knew nothing about his personal life, and everybody loved him. I'm sure everybody wondered and wanted to know and wanted to get to know him better, but he was very smart, and he kept his family life. He kept his when there were events that you could invite your family, he never took, and he's very close to his wife and kids, but he never took them. He didn't want to cross those boundaries, those lines. And I feel like he probably had learned that early on. It was very smart. It was very wise of him, and people respected him because he did that. They didn't know anything about him. He did share with me about his childhood and how he became this, like, one of the most positive people I've ever known in my life. But he was smart, and that's what you guys got to do. You got to go in there knowing, like, I have a job to do. If people ask me questions about myself, I can give them one word answers. How was your weekend? Good. What did you do? Not too much. The huge. Did a lot of cleaning. Yeah, I had some deep cleaning, spring cleaning to do, and you leave it at that. If you were in the crazy bar, if you were in the crazy bar in your town, you don't tell them that, because then the next thing you know, they're going to go around saying you're a drunk, But yeah, you cannot tell them about your personal life, and you got to keep it. You can still be very kind and friendly, but you have to keep things to yourself, because at any given point in time, if they want to use that information against you to make you look bad, they can and they will.
Yeah, and even a little bit of information. So for instance, like if you have a narcissistic colleague and they're asking you, what are your plans, or where are you going, or what are you doing? And you say, oh, I haven't been on a holiday in a long time and I really could do with a break. And, my friend kindly booked me a holiday and paid for it. Just say, for example, that I'm so grateful to the friend, and you're being genuine and you can't wait for this holiday. Narcissists are envious, and they will then go and change the whole story up and say something like, I don't know where she got the money for the holiday. I mean, I don't know what she's doing in her spare time, or, they'll, this must, I don't know how many holidays she's always going on holidays, always, these kind of, they just change things, any little tiny bit of information. And
Yep.
then people hear, oh, when you are going on holidays, and they're kind of going, oh, well,
I learned my last good hard lesson about trust at the end of last summer, and it taught me everything. It was the last devil's major trick on me to get me to open up and really just really share with someone and tell them my everything. And I regret it. I regret it 100%. Trust takes a really, really long time. And like I said, when you're spending all this time, especially in an office setting, like I was saying before, it's really hard to not talk to people about what's going on with you, or if you're having a bad day. I mean, I've had bosses that actually really did care and wanted to know what was going on and how they could help. It's really hard to not share at some given point if there's something going on, or if there's an emergency why you didn't come into work that day or whatever. But I just find, guys, that in order to protect yourself, the least amount of stuff you share with someone, the better. And trust is going to take a very, very long time with someone, and you don't dive into your past and things that, silly stories, barroom brawls and things of this nature, that you used to do. And we all have a past, but someone that's coming into your life as a new person does not get to know about that. And it's kind of like what I'm telling people, my clients, about dating. I got a lot of clients that are trying to get out there and date, and it's like, yep, when they ask you questions, you can even say, like, I don't really talk about that. I don't really talk about my past, and let them wonder, uh, also, if you talk about your other previous work history moments or experiences, whether that be good or bad, if you got a jealous, envious coworker or boss, they're going to take either offense to, if you had like a good idea and you say, oh, hey, I got this idea from my last job, what do you think if we could implement this? They're going to be mad, they're automatically just going to be like, no. And then, if you tell a coworker, oh, I was fired from this last job, or I walked out or something like that, they'll use that against you, they will. So you just don't want to go into that. You don't have to tell anybody, even where you worked before. You don't have to tell people that stuff.
Yeah. So it's basically sharing is personal stuff, is really just giving person ammunition against you if they are a narcissist. Not everyone obviously will use it against you. It's also giving credibility to, if the narcissist has some truth on you, they'll twist it around to other people. And then when other people hear the fact and you say, yes, that's true,
Yes.
Then the rest of the coloring in that the narcissist has done.
It's the whole concept of groupthink, and groupthink happens in a work environment more times than not. Why? Because people, unfortunately, the unfortunate truth is that people want to hear, they want to believe bad things about people. And if they're taken into the office to be like, hey, did can you tell me what happened the other day with so-and-so and the client in the car? And they know that they're digging for information and they feel like they're on the spot. Like I've seen all kinds of scenarios happen. I've seen it. And yeah, your best bet is when you go to work, you're there to work. You're there to work and come home, and that's the end of it. And these jobs where they're pressuring you and they're putting all this pressure on you to do more work and get more out of it and do this and do that, and you're taking that home with you and you're stressed out. We talked about this last week, but you know, you might want to think about getting out of there, because that's not what life is supposed to be about. You're not supposed to be taking home all this stuff, unless that's the way you want to live. You know, I did it. And you and I are going to talk more about that next week, but you know, managing is not all it's cracked up to be. I don't know that I'd ever even want to do it again. I hate having to tell people that their work performance is really sucking.
No, and management is really hard, especially if you have a narcissist with you. But well, you were just touching on there, Trace, you know, about the group situation. I was just thinking, if you have a boss and, you know, you have, say, 5 staff and one of those staff is a narcissist, do you find that they kind of push it like sibling rivalry, you know, and the boss is the parent, and they kind of recreate the childlike, you know, she did better than me or she got more than me, you know, that kind of, isn't it like that? It's like, you know, where do you come in the pecking order with your boss?
100%. It really is. Like you just described it to a T of how it feels. Like you feel like you're just part of a dysfunctional family.
Family. That's it.
Yep.
Oh God.
Yep. 100%. Yep.
Okay. So the other thing I was just going to say was, so in relation to, you know, how to protect yourself, the other thing I was going to say was, you know, narcissists like to obviously go to one person with one thing and another person with another thing, you know, different stories, and try and triangulate and wind people up. And they gossip. They love to gossip. So I'm thinking that the best thing to do when you're new in a place, see what you think about this, is when someone comes to you with gossip, to kind of grey rock it really and be boring about it and just not comment.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is a great topic to discuss briefly here. It's yes, gossip is going to happen in offices. It's notoriously a cesspool for gossiping. And they do want to get you to comment on things. They like the shock value. We got the farter, you know, from my video doing the shock value around the office, just to see what you're going to say and get your reaction and all this to say, exactly, from the very get-go that you come into the office, you're going to have people doing this. They're going to try and see if you'll be their friend, because they don't like Amber over here and they don't like, you know, whomever. And they're going to try to get, and then these people over here are going to tell you a story about her. And it goes like this. And if you can just be quiet and just say, oh, that's interesting. You can say things like that's, or just say, look at them and be like, interesting, huh? Okay, well, thanks for the information, you know, and just move along, or, you know, or just sometimes not even saying anything. I like this now. I can do this. Before I'd be too anxious to, like, I'd have to say something, but now I just look at people.
Oh, God. That says more than what you could actually say, you know, when you're kind of going,
yeah.
And you're telling me this because.
Yeah, you know, that's all you need to do, because then they're wondering, what is she thinking? She's not engaging, but it tells people off the bat, you're not going to be doing this. I'm not the person that you're going to get anything out of my mouth on this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because you often have that really over-friendly person that comes up and says, well, you better stay away from him. I know.
Yep.
He's he's not someone you need to be around or whatever. And then it turns out that's the nicest person in the office at the end of the day. But, you know, yeah.
The last hellhole I was in, when I tell you, I was managing, which we're going to talk about next week. I was managing people that were narcs. I had narcs all throughout the senior management team, narcs above us. It was Narcville. Like, it was like I have never before in my life experienced what I experienced. Every scenario we're talking about, narc coworkers, narc, I mean, that was the senior management team. I had to work around these people all day, and I couldn't believe it. They were all the same. And they all, I was probably the only, like, I would purposely do it. I would just go around the office being like extra bubbly and friendly because everybody in there was super, super miserable, So I would go around, hi, how are you doing? What's going on? You having a good day? And they would just look at me like,
They must have really hated you. They were really annoyed that you were actually going around happy.
oh yeah, I purposely would do it just to make them even more uncomfortable because they were just such terrible people, like terrible character. Yeah, and I didn't care. Towards the end there, I mean, I couldn't even try to be bubbly. If I tried, it was that bad. I mean, my little game didn't work anymore because they, if there's enough of them, they're going to take you into their vortex of negative, dark, depressing energy.
Yeah.
And you're going to be stressed out 24/7.
Yeah, definitely. They'll use the last bit of light that you have in you and they'll dim it. Yeah, and they often do attract each other and they know how to work together. And actually, narcissists generally tend to respect each other because they kind of think, well, no matter how bad the other narcissist is, at least they get it. At least they know what life's all about. They seem to think
100%. I always say this, crap trickles down. So you got a crap owner who has no business owning a business, okay, because they have zero bedside manner. A lot of times they're so far removed from the day-to-day operations that they don't care, and you can clearly tell, like, they're just a figurehead now, and they will, crap trickles down. So if they're a crap character person, they're going to hire somebody with the same crap characteristics in person that they think, oh, this person really has a way about them that people will bow down to them and respect them, and they'll get the job done. They'll do the dirty work, whatever they have to do to get me the money, because that's all they're caring about. And you see this time and time and time again, and it's sad, but this is how it goes. If you have it up at the top, and you see this in corporations beyond measures, if you have it up at the top, you're going to have it throughout the entire company. Yeah.
But I suppose on a positive note, I mean, we're talking about it so much. Yeah. There's this saying like, oh, there's always one, or, there's always one in a workplace. I don't know if you've heard that in the States, but we have it here anyway, that there's always one. Sometimes there isn't always one. And sometimes there's a bunch of lovely people and we get great work done and it's great teamwork. It's just to kind of put a bit of positivity in there, because we talk about narcissists so much, we kind of tend to think that they're overtaking us, but they're not.
Nope, they're not. I have to say, me joining TikTok in the fall, I cannot believe the amount of people spreading information, not only about narcissists, that, giving the education on narcissism, but the fact that people are now starting to really look at this spiritually. And these people aren't, I've been saying it. I said it when I started the channel 4 years ago. I said, what we hope to have happen is that the information on them spreads like wildfire, to the point that all they're going to have in the end is their kind. No one's going to bother with them. The doormats are going to stay away from them. The enablers, the empaths are going to be educated empaths now that are not going to tolerate it. All they're going to have to yoke up with is their own kind. People are getting this people are leaving narcissistic bosses and companies, narcissistic operations within organizations. They're going off and branching off, coming up with creative ideas on how to make their own money. We're seeing a lot more of this. People are leaving these toxic relationships. more people are gathering together to be like, you don't have to tolerate this. And I'm watching it with my own two eyes. It's literally happening for us. And it's amazing. And we don't talk about that enough, that there is a shift happening in this world right now. They're completely, people can tell now when they even walk in the room, how they're walking, how they're operating. It's a vibe. It's a vibe that they've got.
They definitely give it away when they fart. Sorry, that's so
funny. It's so true. You know what I was saying to one of my clients this week who wanted to talk about that video. I said, she's done this before. She's gotten fired for this before. And I mean, that's the amount of like demonic possession going on within these people, that they don't care. Like, they're going to do what they want to do. I mean, if I should do another video getting into the whole, people wanted me to ask what I thought about the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing going on right now. And I've got a lot of things to say about that, but I don't know if you saw any of that footage or heard about this stuff.
Listen, would you believe I literally saw a tiny part. It came up on my YouTube suggestions or whatever. So I literally saw a tiny bit. I don't know anything about the story other than 5 minutes of the court situation. So I'm commenting ignorantly, but I didn't like Johnny Depp's composure. That's the only thing I can say.
Yeah.
So am I wrong? I don't know.
Who in the heck knows what went on? Celebrities, as we know, they don't lead normal lives. They don't lead normal lives whatsoever. I mean, who knows what goes on in there? But yeah, we were talking about farts. So so apparently Amber Heard defecated on Johnny Depp's side of the bed to show her, and because people were saying, why would someone do that? I saw it on a TikTok video. Somebody said, is there any psychologists on here? Why would, from a psychologist perspective, why would someone do that? And one weighed in and said, dominance, control, power, shock value, all the things that narcs do. It's incredible. I mean,
well, as I say, I don't know anything about it, Trace, but my one thought was, you see, the way there's kind of reactive abuse, or you could have two narcissists together, but my overriding thing was, why would you want this going public?
Yeah. 100%. I guess from what I'm understanding, she had put out an article after the divorce, and I forget where it was published, but it was a pretty well-established firm, and the article was talking about that he was abusive to her. So in order to, defamation of character, he went against her to say, look, like, this is the amount of stuff she did to me. Now, half this stuff I didn't know until this week, and it's pretty shocking. And I'm pretty shocked that it's airing for public knowledge, you know what I mean? But who in the heck knows? But I mean, these people can go through all lengths. I say to sort of keep this in mind, guys, when you're working in a place, stay out of the lines of fire. Stay out of all the drama, gossip. Go in, do your thing, be more quiet than you normally would. If you're an outgoing, friendly person, you can be that way with the clients and things of this nature, but don't go in there thinking you can be an open book. Paula, have you ever made any like really good friends in the office with coworkers?
That's a good question. Not really. No, not that I would have taken them with me for years and years and years. No, you feel like you're really good friends with the people you work with if you work in a small group.
Yeah.
But I say nothing has translated to be long-term. No. Have you?
There is literally, very, very few of them we keep in touch, like, hey, how have you been type of a thing. But there's literally one that has become such a close friend of mine, but I was only at this company for 6 months when I got the job offer for the senior management position. And I was planning on staying at that company until I got this job offer, just sort of fell on my lap. And I had to make that hard decision. But yeah, we worked together for about 6 months, and she's still in my life right now to this day. She's an amazing person. But yeah, I mean, we didn't work together that long. Yeah, it seems like the people I worked the longest with, it's almost like sometimes too, I don't know if you feel this way, when you leave a job, it's kind of like you left the cult, and no one cares to even bother with you anymore because you're not stuck in this disgraceful environment. You got out, like you got out of the cult, so
Yeah. Yeah. If it was like the narcissist family kind of going on, yeah, you're the one that got away. So they kind of nearly resent you for it if there's bad vibes going on. Yeah. Yeah. But you can make good friends. Look what you did. So
yeah,
yeah.
it
Just
can
take
happen. It took I mean, uh we didn't divulge like too much personal stuff to one another until a long ways after, that we continued to be friends. But we were going through the same thing at the same time, so it was, she had said something in the car on the way for us to go to a client appointment. um she does occupation, she's an occupational therapist, and I was working to help people with disabilities join the YMCA over here in the States. It was a brand new program we were launching, and if it did well, it was going to launch throughout the whole country. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, it ended up, she mentioned one thing in the car, and I looked at her and I was like, you too? We both had cheating husbands, and I started to tell her, do you watch YouTube? This is 2016. And I said, do you watch YouTube? And she's like, yes. And then we were talking about the people we were watching, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
and how they were really helping us. So she got out a few years after me. She finally got out, 24-year marriage.
I think I remember you saying something about on one of your videos about that. That's yeah, well, that's a good bonding experience, and you did remain friends. That's wonderful. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
what I was going to say was, I tell you, people of integrity, who may become my long-term friends, I don't know, just in a work situation, chose the higher moral road over a narcissist's manipulations against me. So I can maybe tell you a bit more in the next video.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm wondering, will we remain friends? But they certainly showed up for me. So not all, your work colleagues, there are good people out there, and
Yeah.
they chose, yeah, they chose not to go the down road and destroy, but rather support the truth. And I asked one person why, and she said, because it didn't add up and you'd done nothing wrong. And I didn't like what was going on.
Amazing. You see? You see? Yes, I will never, as long as I shall live, forget. I worked this little job in between college when I come home for the summer. I worked at this salon for this crazy narcissist woman and her narcissist husband, who used to come down. He was such a creep. He would come down the stairs. Their house was above the salon, and he'd come down the stairs and hit on all of us. I was like 19 years old, such a pig. And I remember this girl, Marissa, was working there, and she was so cute and she was so kind. And the owner she'd come down, and you never knew what kind of a mood she was going to be in. It was one of those deals, and she'd tell you to schedule her things out at certain times. And then the next week it would be like, no, I want an hour and a half for this client. And it was always confusion. But I remember Marissa stuck up. I lost touch with her. I wonder to this day, I need to find her, like, because I'll never forget this. And she said, she walked in on Carol going, Tracy's so stupid. She can't even do anything right. And I guess Marissa yelled at her and goes, Carol, anyone that's stupid around here, it's you. She's like, Tracy's a good person. She's got a big heart, and she works really hard for you. She's like, this is going to be my last day. And she came out and she called me, and she was like, I just told Carol, I told her off and told her you're a good person. And I will never forget that. Like, she walked out of the job too because she just had enough of it. So there are people that will come to bat for you when push comes to shove and you're dealing with like a devil, you know? Yep.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. And people just, when the devil is exposed and people realize what's happening and who the devil is, the good ones will come out. And there's a hell of a lot of good people, you know, yourself from the people you've met at, say, on your channel and coaching,
Yes.
and everything. Oh, it just gives you heart again to realize
Yep.
the strength that's out there. And
100%. It's one of those things like, yeah, just when you think like, are there more evil people than there are good? They're going to show up, you know, and they're going to show up for you, and they're going to see with their own two eyes too what's really going on. When I left this last clownish place in 2019, all the 9 women that had either left and or got fired that he successfully drove out of there, we were all talking about getting together and getting some justice for this, because it was just like one of the most obnoxious things you could ever imagine going on in that place. And we talked about how we would do this. And, you know, it's just, sometimes you just, it all worked out anyway. I mean, he successfully drove that place to the ground within another year, and heaven knows what he's doing now. I feel bad for anybody he's got to work around, but yeah, sometimes you have to decide what's worth it. You know, is it worth it to go back and fight? And these people in a court of law, I mean, they're very crafty. I have to say, they're going to be very crafty on things that they come up with, and they got documentation of things that you supposedly did that you never did, and they'll do whatever they have to do crooked to make themselves come out on top, you know. So you have to decide. But sometimes there are power in numbers. If you get enough people together to talk about the truth, you can do something with that and take these people down, because they're just going to go around the rest of their lives continuing to do it. We know that the farter there that just got fired, we know that she's on her way to another office environment where she can walk around farting on everyone.
the air freshener sales will go up in the area anyway. Identifier. Oh God.
Yep.
Yeah, unbelievable what they do, and they just enjoy it. And to them, as you say, they don't care. So it's something not, the lift's not going to the top floor, or there's some kind of demonic stuff going on there. But anyway,
because they don't learn from their mistakes. They don't have moments where they look within. They don't.
no, because they're never wrong
Mm-hmm.
in their minds. Okay, well, what do you think? Will we wrap it up? Have we said enough about the nasty narcissist coworker?
I think so. You guys will be able to spot them. They're troublemakers. They enjoy reactions. They enjoy drama. They're going to talk about their dramatic lives. They're going to be sharing very inappropriate information, and this is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Don't indulge. Don't go there, and don't engage when they're trying really hard to get you to engage in the gossip. Don't do it. Keep your personal life completely separate, and your work life is your work life.
Yeah, absolutely. And instincts, everything. First instincts, first impressions. Trust your gut. Trust the energy, the way it feels, and after yourselves.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thanks again, Paula. This has been fun as always. And next week, we're going to do what happens when you have to manage narcissists yourself. You're the manager and you have to manage these people. That's the next one, guys. And for all you out there that manage, I tip my hat to you. I did it, and it is not fun at all. These people can make your life miserable in ways
yeah, they can actually take you down. So it's really important to know about managing people. It's a skill in itself, but with a narcissist, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, listen, Trace, have a great week, and sure, see you next week.
Yes, Paula, thank you again. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Okay, bye-bye, guys.
Bye everyone. See you next week. Bye.